Have you ever spent months chasing a goal? You lost sleep over it, you planned everything, you pushed yourself, and finally that moment came. You did it. But instead of the huge wave of happiness you expected, you felt a strange emptiness inside. You may have even asked yourself, what is wrong with me? No, there is nothing wrong with you. This may have more to do with your brain's reward system. Today, I want to explain why we can sometimes feel unhappy after reaching a goal. There is a very important false belief we need to break here. The belief that happiness will only begin once we reach the goal. The mind tells us, when you get there, you will finally relax. When you achieve this, you will finally feel valuable. When this goal happens, you will finally feel complete. Because many of us were taught as if we only have permission to feel happy after we achieve something. Living in the present moment was often described as if it were only a hedonistic pleasure, but it is not. You can enjoy today in a healthy way and still build a better life for the future. I know this false belief can lock you into a point somewhere in the future, but our goal here is not to blame ourselves. Our goal is to understand our inner world more clearly. At the end of this video, I will give you a small practice. If this topic feels familiar, like this video. It helps me create more content on the topics you care about. When we look at this scientifically, the brain does not only respond to the final result, it also responds strongly to the anticipation that happens on the way to the result. Dopamine often rises not only when the reward arrives, but also while we are expecting that reward. So sometimes the brain is not only chasing the goal itself, it is chasing the possibility of reaching that goal. When you imagine something, move closer to it and tell yourself, I am almost there. Your system can feel alive. But when the goal finally happens, that big anticipation can suddenly close, and you may feel, I spent years wanting this. So why do I feel empty now? Because in this case, the problem is not necessarily the goal. The problem may be that you placed all meaning on the final point of the goal. Maybe you imagined it so much that you started enjoying the imagination more than the reality. If you idealize that dream too much, then when you finally reach it, you may realize it does not feel the way you expected. And if you spend too much time imagining it, you may have started making yourself happy through the fantasy more than through the actual goal. In both cases, your connection with yourself and with reality may have weakened. If you kept convincing yourself that you would feel better one day, then you may have forgotten how to connect with who you are today. One day when I become more successful, one day when I earn more money, one day when I feel more loved. Even when that one day arrives, the mind may find a new missing piece. Because if the mind gets used to chasing, it can become unfamiliar with being present. That is why some people do not feel peace after success. They feel emptiness. Because when success arrives, there is no longer a goal to escape into, and the person is left alone with their inner voice. Maybe for a long time they distracted themselves with that goal and forgot themselves in the process. This is the important part. Think about your effort to reach your goals. Has it become less about building the life you truly want and more about trying not to feel inadequate? When this happens, the goal is no longer just an area of growth. It becomes a place of proof. Look, I am enough. Look, I am valuable. Look, I achieved it too. Look, now you can love me. But external success alone does not heal the feeling of worthlessness inside. It can give temporary relief, but it may not create lasting inner fulfillment. Because happiness does not come from success alone. Success is a tool, it is not the whole purpose. If deep inside you still carry the belief, I am only valuable if I succeed, then after every achievement you will need a new goal. Because your sense of worth is not being nourished from within, it is constantly being fed by the next result. But here is what you may not have been taught. The effort you make to achieve something is admirable, and still, you are already enough as you are. You are valuable. You are worthy of being loved. This goal is a change you want to create for yourself, but it is not the meaning of your entire life. Yes, it may have the power to change your life, but if it starts to come before your relationship with yourself, then something is out of balance. If you feel that your goals have started to stand in front of you, you can use these sentences. What exhausts me may not be my goals. What exhausts me may be the belief that I can only love myself when I reach the goal. It may be the belief that I am only successful and enough when I achieve something. But I am already enough as I am already successful in my process, and I am worthy of being loved. Even the goal I desire is a reflection of something within me, so I should not look down on the version of myself that is still growing. In this system, your brain is not trying to sabotage you, it may be trying to protect you. Maybe for years it learned, if you succeed, you will be safe. If you are appreciated, you will be accepted. If you produce, you will be visible. If you reach the goal, you will be valuable. But you are not only the goals you reach. You are not valuable only when you get results. You are not worthy of love only when you succeed. You are not important only when you are productive. Understanding your inner world is the first step toward change. So, how can you transform this? Today, try a small micro practice. Think of one goal, then ask yourself these 4 questions. Am I moving toward this goal because I truly want it, or because I am trying to prove myself? How can I treat myself with more compassion before I reach this goal? Even if I do not reach the result, what kind of person do I want to become in this process? While moving toward this goal, what habits can I build to make my daily life more enjoyable? Because sustainable fulfillment does not come only from reaching the goal, it also comes from who you are during the process. It is not only about who you become at the end, it is about who you are inside the process. Today, notice not only the result, notice yourself within the process too, because sometimes the real emptiness does not come from the absence of a goal. It comes from losing connection with yourself while chasing that goal. And maybe what you need now is not a new goal. Maybe what you need is to learn how to feel valuable, not only through your goals, but also through your existence. To begin seeing life not only as a place where you must constantly strive, but also as a place where you are allowed to enjoy being alive.